We are back with the amazing Lorna Rainey. Lorna, your great-grandfather, right?
Yes.
His name Joseph Rainey.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about him.
I think that Joseph Rainey and his daughter Olive Rainey and all the Raineys have really been an inspiration for me. When times were in the past really difficult for me, I would always remember what he had gone through. He became the first black congressman of the United States and was seated on December 12, 1870 in the House of Representatives. And actually, you'll get a chance to learn a lot more about him because we are in the midst right now of pre-production on a documentary about him and his life.
Oh, wonderful.
We'll be traveling to Martha's Vineyard this weekend to do some research from one of the other descendants of the congressman. So that's like the second, third leg of our journey of putting this together. Dean Love Productions is actually the producer, and he's an award-winning, Emmy award-winning producer. And he's
so you were
working
all
with me.
on this?
Oh yeah, you'll see.
What was it like when you were growing up and when you found out, when you were old enough to recognize, to realize what this meant, the significance of his being the first black congressman?
First of all, I can remember back to the time I was 16 months old. So when I was, look at your face. You're fun. Yeah, but I could remember back to the time I was 16 months old. But from the time I was 3 years old, my aunt Olive, who was his daughter, used to put me on her knee every time she would come to Brooklyn from Massachusetts. She would come at least once or twice a year. She'd put me on her knee and tell me the whole story about her father, the congressman. And it was at that point that I recognized that there was something in me that was maybe different, you know, something special that I needed to hold on to. And like I said, when times get tough, I just dig inside and remember who I am and where I come from and the people that I cannot disappoint and the legacy I need to live up to, and I just keep right on going.
You were also an awesome screenwriter. But let's talk about your novel first, the Native Intelligence. Why did you write this book, and who did you write it for?
I actually, after having lived so much of the legacy of my father's side of the family for so long, I felt that I needed to give a nod to my mom's side of the family. My mom is a descendant of the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians. So I wanted to give a nod to my native side, and that's why it's called Native Intelligence.
Do you have a copy of the book, what it looks like?
No, this is the cover actually.
Oh, could you show it to the...
Can they?
Bring up it. Yes,
yeah,
that's good.
That? Yeah.
Native Intelligence. Where can they find it?
It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. You know, you can easily get it, and you can order it at any of the bookstores too. The reason I don't have a copy is because every time I got like a new stash, everybody took them from me, so I have no more, and I should get some more. But this was a very strange story about the writing of Native Intelligence, in that one day I was with a very, very good friend of mine who also happens to be Native, and we were driving somewhere, and I kept getting sick in this rental car, and I kept saying, you know, pull over, I need to get out, and I would take some cleansing breaths, and I'd get back in, and I'd feel sick again, and that went on for like 2 or 3 times. Then all of a sudden, I realized that I was being gifted with a thought. And from that point, I went home and I started writing the book. And
tell us a little bit about the story.
Well, I'll just read the little log line on the back. In the immediate aftermath of September 11th, Nita, a beautiful woman of Choctaw descent, and her childhood sweetheart, Philip, a handsome member of the Choctaw Tribal Police, race against time to stop a new terrorist plot targeting New York City while staying one step ahead of 2 NYPD detectives and an international cell group hitman. So that's Native Intelligence. I also wrote the screenplay for that. We're not working on that one right now, but we are working on another novel by another Native author. Her name is Lila Penord, and the name of her novel is Men's Monster.
Men's Monster, yes. So you did a screenplay on that?
I did. I took the novel and I turned it into a screenplay.
All right, let me just ask you this.
Uh-oh.
What is this thing with you and screenplays? I mean...
Well, you know, if you think about it, that I've always been a lover of words and language since I was little. So words come naturally to me, and communication is something that I really love to do. And I think the conveyance of thought is something that separates human beings from every other animal on the planet, because they can't convey thought the way we can, and levels of communication. So I did write the screenplay for that, and we have a worldwide distribution deal on it, and we're now raising the funds to make the movie.
I want to go back to native intelligence. The name alone just scripture. The name. Tell us about the name, Lorna.
Well, the name, hold on one second, I'm sorry.
Sure, it's okay.
Yeah. The name came to me because with Native people, we have a sense of perception. So she was using her native perception, aka her native intelligence, to glean out what this man was doing, and that's how she gets involved in this international espionage and terrorist plot. So that's where the name comes from.
As you were writing this book, I am imagining you must have had some interesting sensory experiences, or let's call it supernatural. Call it what it is. Supernatural experiences.
All right.
Give us one. You know, while you were writing, and you know, something that might have happened, or you might have experienced, a thought that you might have had, and that, you know, just tell us about one of those experiences.
I think actually the most interesting one was the one that caused me to write the book to begin with.
Tell us about it.
Well, like I said, my friend and I were driving. He had this rental car, and I just kept getting nauseous, and he kept pulling over. I kept getting out and breathing, and I felt fine. I got back in. But once I recognized that this was a gift to me for an idea for a book, I got back in the car, and I never experienced it again. The whole rest of the ride there and the ride back. We were going to a powwow at the time, actually. And I went all the way up to the powwow, danced, had a great time, ate, everything was fine, came back home in the same car. No, nothing. And from that point on, I just started writing the book, and I write in my head. Like, I'll write in my head until my head is too full of thought, and then I sit down and I write it all down. And then I get up and it just flows that way. I know other authors who write every day. They're like, I write between 8 and 9 every day. I can't write like that. I write as it comes to me, because I find I don't have to go back and erase anything. It's all the way it should be, because I'm letting it come to me. The thoughts come and they form. And that's it.
Well, one of the things that I recognize in my personal life is when I get these thoughts, these experiences, what I've learned to do is to be very obedient. How important is obedience to you?
Obedience is important because it's usually coming from a place that is outside of us.
Yes.
It's not obedience for me telling myself anything. It's obedience because at that moment a thought will drop into your head that says, you have to do this now. And you should always listen to that. A cousin of mine, a little bit of a crazy cousin, used to always say, always follow your first mind.
Yes.
Even though that sounds weird and it's grammatically incorrect.
Yes.
It's really true.
It is true.
Because a lot of times you'll have a thought and then you'll rethink it and you'll rethink it again and you wind up not doing it and then wind up later that was the right way to go. You should have followed that thought. Because the first thought is the one that's being given to you. The second, third, and fourth thoughts are the ones of you trying to interpret Don't interpret it.
Yes.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Right.
Is there a sequel to Native Intelligence?
There absolutely is.
Really?
A lot of people found me and actually wrote me letters and wrote me emails and said, we want to know what happens with Nita and Philip. So that book is halfway done, but of course I'm in the midst of doing the documentary about my great-grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also in the midst of getting the funding together for Men's Monster. So I've kind of put that one to the side for a little bit, but I'm going to get back to it.
How very challenging is this document? Is doing this documentary?
I'm not finding it challenging at all. In the sense of doing it, I think the most challenging aspect is getting the different people together that we need to do it.
Oh, okay.
But I think that I don't think that. I know that this is the right time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that my great aunt, Olive, the daughter of the congressman, used to tell me when she had me on her knee. She used to say that you are the keeper of the family legacy. I can feel that you are destined to live this legacy and to keep this legacy alive. And that, of course, when you hear that at 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up, it definitely is imprinted in my mind that I have my ancestors who are looking and saying, okay, she's going to do this. I know she will. And I believe that my angels are helping me to get this accomplished.
What is the one particular message you're hoping that this documentary would convey?
Well, first of all, it took 121 years for my great-grandfather to get his portrait on Capitol Hill.
What?
Yeah, because, being the first black congressman, they didn't pay any attention to that. And Blanche K. Bruce, who was the first black senator, I believe, his was only done the year before my great-grandfather's. Theirs were never home. So they did invite us all up there when they were going to do the portrait. And it was a beautiful day. And now President Barack Obama was there as the senator at that time. I never forget him sweeping into the room with his long trench coat on and looking very handsome. And there were just bunches and bunches of congressional people there. It was a really beautiful time, a beautiful day. But what I want people to know is that no matter where we are right now in the process, we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors.
Yeah.
We're walking in the footsteps of those who came before, who did so much. And I once saw a guide at the Martin Luther King exhibit in Washington, D.C., and he said something that I'll never forget. He said that he spoke with one of the civil rights leaders one day, and he asked him, why did you put your lives in danger? Why did you do the things that you did? Why did you sacrifice so much knowing you could be killed or beaten or lynched? And he said, because we knew you were coming. And I never forgot that either.
Oh.
And that's the kind of life that I want to live. I want to live that legacy because I know that there are others coming after me that need to understand and need to have a full knowledge of what everyone went through as we progress along. This should never be forgotten. Things like this, how did they get swept under the rug for 121 years? But they do. And this is not a story of a black congressman. This is just a story of triumph. It's a story of a person who triumphed over the most astronomical odds to become a congressman. I mean, even that today is noteworthy, a congressman. But the first black congressman back in 1870,
that's impressive.
It really is.
Back in those days.
Yeah. And the things that he went through
Mm-hmm.
are insane. He would deliberately put himself in harm's way to make a point. There was a time that he went to a hotel. It was pouring rain. He had his valise with all his clothing in it. And he went up on the porch. He went inside. They thought he was probably, I guess, the bag boy or something.
Mm-hmm.
He went inside in all his finery, and he went to the front desk and said, "I'd like a room, please." And they said, "What are you talking about? What? No, no. What? And he said, "Well, the sign outside says vacancy." And they were like, "Well, nice you can read, but we're still not going to give you a room, and you have nerve for even coming in here asking." And he refused to leave. So they called for the real, I guess, bag people.
Mm-hmm.
And they threw him out off the porch into the mud, face first, with his valise. And then there was another time when he got on a railway train and he didn't sit in the colored car. He went to sit in the car of his choosing. They stopped the car in the midst of nowhere after he wouldn't get up and leave that car. And they threw him off in the middle of nowhere. So they could have just as easily killed him.
Yes.
But that's the kind of man he was. He was going to stand for his principles, and he was going to make a change regardless.
You see some of him in some of his
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I don't give up. I don't quit. And when I'm tempted to quit, I think of him, and I think of my other ancestors on walking the Trail of Tears. There's no way I'm giving up.
Tears. Wow, the Trail of Tears. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
What is a typical misconception artists have about making it in the industry?
That it's easy. That it's I'm here now. Let the bookings begin. Let my name go up in lights. I'm here.
It's not that.
It's very, very rarely that. That's why if you ever see people on the talk shows,
Yeah.
if they ask them certain questions, they bristle. They get very upset. It's like, wow, you're like an overnight success. And you see them bristle right away.
Right.
Because they know they've been eating tuna fish and drinking water for 2 years and sleeping on somebody's pillow on the floor in a corner in order to get that one break. So you can't tell that person that they're an overnight success. That just does not cut it for them. They get very angry. Because there are very few overnight successes. These are people who study. They go to dance theaters and they go to musical theater and they go to study all the time.
It's hard.
And it's so difficult. People don't realize how difficult it is. That's why when people come to me and say, well, I have a great voice, I want to do voiceovers, I'm like, okay, well, let me recommend you to like 3 coaches who can help you to hone your skills. There's certain things you have to know about voiceover. What is the intent of the author? What was the copywriter trying to convey when they wrote that? What's the tone supposed to be? What are you selling? And who are you selling to? Who's the market? Who's the audience? Did you develop your inner clock? Do you know your inner clock? When 15 seconds are over, when 10 seconds are over, when 30 seconds are past. I can tell you when that is, because I've studied it for so long that when I'm going through copy, I can tell you just about at the particular time, that's 30 seconds. Anything over that is too long. So there's a lot to voiceovering. It's not easy. It's a small little click. That's why sometimes you hear the same voices over and over again doing certain things. Because those are the right.
Technique.
They have the technique. They don't just have the voice. They also have the technique. It's very difficult to interpret copy. Very difficult.
Oh my gosh.
And I do represent a couple of people who have, that you hear all the time. The voice of Blue Buffalo is my guy. The voice of Allegra, you hear him all the time on radio and television. He's my guy too. So, I know my voiceover stuff because that was my dream.
Wow.
And I'm going to go back to it. Mark my
You
words.
are?
Of course.
Good.
I just did a voiceover a couple of weeks ago for Palmer's. So if you hear that on television,
For where?
Palmer's.
Oh, really?
Palmer's coconut oil, you'll hear it. And that's me.
Nice, Lorna.
Thank you, Mr. Selwyn.
Wow, nice. Any advice for young people who want to break into the industry?
Again, I would go back to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I know what, rap music and, people are the type of speech that people use, but that's not the type of speech that's going to make you the money. It's not the type of speech that's going to get you in the doors and get you the respect. So you really have to learn your language. Even if you don't know more than one language, learn it well. Learn to use it well. Understand the nuances of language. Understand what each word means. Study some spelling. Don't worry about the abbreviations for texting. Understand how a word is properly spelled. Please, when you walk in the door, have a good presentation. You can't look like you just came off the street corner, because I will think that that's where you belong. So you can go back there, and when you're ready to be a professional, then you can dress and you can come in and we can have a conversation. So presentation is also key.
What do you enjoy most about what you do, Lorna?
When someone books something, I get so happy. I feel as though I booked it myself a lot of times. I really do. And especially when I see someone that I've brought from a long way and they become successful. That's what I love too.
So there's a lot of patience and hard work.
Managers don't expect to get paid right away, because it can be a long-term thing. You can be with somebody. I had a guy, for example, who was with me for about a year. And I was sending him out on auditions. He wasn't booking. He called me one day. He was near tears. He said, "I know you're going to drop me. I know you're going to drop me. I haven't booked anything. I haven't made you 10 cents. I said, "Don't worry about it. It'll come." I sent him out on something else. He got a call back. And then I sent him for Spike TV. He booked 10 episodes as a host on Spike TV. And then right after that, he booked as the national voice for direct auto insurance. So Patience.
What kept you, why did you believe in him?
He had a great personality. He was a good person. He was trying his hardest to please me and to please the client. And he was talented. So I just knew it's just a matter of me picking the right thing for him and sending him out. And at some point, somebody's going to see what I see, and they're going to book him. And sure enough, that's what happened.
How does anyone find Talent Express?
Well, we do have a huge website. It's called www.thetalentexpress.com, because that is the name of the company, it's The Talent Express. So thetalentexpress.com, they can find me that way, and on there they'll find my email address and everything.
Oh, okay.
I much prefer emails, because you can submit your materials to me by email.
Yes.
And they should mention your name or this show in the subject line, as heard on CWS Journeys. And that's how you can find me.
You have a favorite hobby?
Ooh, favorite hobby. I have a few hobbies.
Share one with us.
Oh gosh, let me see. Hold on. Maybe I can't. I love bowling. How's that?
Bowling? You're good?
Oh no, I love Scrabble.
Oh really?
I'm a Scrabble demon. Love it. Well,
Really?
again, it's words.
It's words.
What can I say? I keep going back to the same thing. I love words.
What is one word that stumped you and you got it?
When?
Whenever you were playing Scrabble at some time. Yeah,
gosh.
Scrabble, yeah. Then you're like, damn, I should have thought of that.
I know, there's always one, because I really try to use the ones with the Q's or the Z's, because those are the high value letters. I have a friend that I play with sometimes, and he always comes up with these 3-letter Z words that kill me, and always strategically places them to mess up my 10-letter word that I was just going to put down. I love playing with him though. It's very. I love challenges. I love the mental challenges.
What are you most proud of?
Well, I could say my children.
Yeah.
That would be one thing. I'm just bursting with pride about my 2 children. My son is the account manager for Lincoln and Ford at an ad agency. And my daughter just graduated from CIA, which is not the CIA government.
Oh, I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah,
I'm not messing with
she's
your
got
mommy.
it staked outside right now. No, Culinary Institute of America.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I'm proud of my two children, I suppose, because that's a legacy that no one can take away from you. You know, just being a hands-on mom. And that's part of the reason that I did the agency is because I could work from home.
Okay.
And I didn't have to leave my daughter because my son was older, so I didn't have to leave my daughter. I could be with her every moment of every day,
Mm-hmm.
and she wasn't being raised by somebody else in the daycare center or whatever. If you have to do that, then you have to do that. But you know, if you have a choice and you can stay with them, then you can infuse them with all of you, all of your knowledge, all of your thoughts, all of your values, your ethics, and it worked out fine.
If you could go back in time, what would you tell your 15-year-old self?
To be confident enough that you force people to accept you for you. You don't change who you are to please someone else. And that is one of my prayers. I pray that all the time is, you know, Great Spirit, please allow me to be the person that I am and don't let any of the negative things that happen to me change me.
Any negative thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be changed for the positive if I see something like that, but the negative things for sure. Because a friend of mine used to say, I'm surrounded by assassins. And sometimes you are. Sometimes everybody around you is like
I like that.
Throwing little darts at you, you know? And it takes you a while before you realize, hey, I thought this person was a friend, but
here goes those darts. Right?
Yeah, something's coming from that way. It's hurt. It hurts. So, you know, you are sometimes surrounded by assassins.
Mm-hmm.
And you really need to be strong and confident about who you are and what you're doing and continue on your path and don't let anybody change you. So be confident.
Finish this sentence for us. I look forward to Sunday evenings to
prepare myself for the week ahead so that I can be sharp, I can be ready, I can be energetic, and I can be productive.
Wow. What makes you laugh out loud?
Makes me laugh out loud. That's silly jokes make me laugh out loud. Listening to you laugh makes me laugh out loud. Like I was talking to you the other day and what I said and you just cracked up.
Oh,
I was
yes,
like, oh,
you're funny.
He's so easy. Oh my gosh.
You're funny though. I want the audience to know that Lorna is funny.
I am pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't reveal it to everyone because I must keep my
I know.
my persona going. But yeah, I'm pretty funny. No, you were laughing. I'm like, and it made me think about it. I'm like, gee, that was kind of funny, wasn't it? But yeah.
Oh my gosh, Lorna, thank you.
And thank you, Selwyn Collins, for inviting me on. I've had a wonderful, wonderful time. I hope that people will see the documentary about, great-grandfather Congressman Rainey, because it's a story for everyone. It's inspirational for everyone. It's not just a story about a black congressman. It's a story of inspiration.
Wow. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Fear not what fear whispers to you. Fear your obedience to it. So I would call it saying good night and God bless.